Welcome to Toy Polloi. Parental guidance. This video contains scenes of Lego destruction.
Hello and welcome to another video from Toy Polloi, and today I think this is probably the first time I've worked on Ninja Turtles on this channel. Certainly don't remember having worked on them before. Well, today we're going to be working on Baxter Stockman, this figure you see in the middle here. Now Nick over at Action Pop Dad has asked me if I would have a look at repairing his figure, because as you can see it's got a little bit of damage. One of the wings has snapped off. In fact, both of the wings have snapped off at some point, and they've been glued back in place. So today what we're going to be doing is taking a look at poor old Baxter to see if we can reattach his wings in a better way so that they can still move, rather than just being glued in place, which looks like what was done previously. So let's take a closer look at the figure and see what we can do to repair him. Okay, so here is the Baxter Stockman figure, and as I say, this is Nick from Action Pop Dad's Toy. He has this in his collection and said that when he bought it, it was damaged, and wondered if I'd be able to sort of take a look at it and see if it can be fixed. So as you can see, the main part of the figure is actually not in too bad condition. It's these rear arms and the wings that attach to them that are the problem area. So we can remove these wings. They just unclip like that. So you can take the two hands off and you get the two wings. And it looks to me like there should be a little post that sticks up there, because I can see the remnants of it stuck in the back of this wing here. And then this wing piece would clip onto that, so you'd be able to rotate it around. And from what I can tell here, it looks like that part has snapped, I'm going to say, a fair time ago, and somebody has glued these back on. I can see sort of the remnants of glue on this one. There's certainly remnants of glue here. Basically just sort of glued them back on so it would be a displayable figure, but you are no longer able to rotate these wings. So what Nick asked is it possible for me to sort of reattach these wings but so they are still rotatable? And I think it possibly is. I'm going to say we're going to use some Lego to do that, because it looks like that will fit it sort of the best into the space that we've got to work with. Let's try and remove this other wing. It's glued on with, well, it's very hard to say what it's glued on with, possibly super glue or something like that. So maybe just a gentle twist or bend and that will crack. Actually, I can hear it cracking. I don't want to damage any of the other sort of part of the figure. I just want to break the glue. Oh yeah, I can actually feel that going now. So there we go. Yeah, that is that part broken off as well. There's a little bit of glue residue on there that needs tidying up. I'll just sort of break that off with a knife. But yeah, I think a Lego fix is what we are going to do for that. So let's get everything ready. So before we do any of the sort of new repairs, we need to remove some of this old glue. It does feel like super glue to me. It's gone quite sort of brittle. So I've just got my knife here and I'm going to carefully scrape away the old glue. It might take some of this paint away, but that's not an issue. We'll have to sort of touch that up once we've finished anyway. But yeah, I can feel that old glue is now sort of breaking off. Yeah, it's definitely super glue. So I'll just do a little bit of tidying up on these pieces. Make sure we've got as much of that off as possible. That piece doesn't actually look like it's got much on it. Must all be left on here. So let's try and remove this as well. Just make it a nice clean surface to work with. So I've had a quick look through my Lego box, and I think we're going to be using the standard Lego aerial. This is a part that is very useful for fixing all toys, as I've shown multiple times. I was hoping that we could maybe use part of this sort of half axle pin to create a little sort of socket for that to go in, but there really isn't a huge amount of space in these pieces. They've got sort of odd angles and that. I don't think I'd be able to drill one of those in sort of in a neat enough way. So I'm actually just going to use the aerial as the sort of basis for this fix, and really all we need to do is drill a few holes. So Lego aerial pieces are all at the standard sizes. This is a 3mm diameter, so I need to drill some 3mm diameter holes into this sort of claw section so that we can insert a piece of this Lego aerial. And then we are going to do the same on this. This one we'll need to be a little bit more careful because there's not quite as much space. So before I do the 3mm hole, I'm actually going to drill some slightly smaller holes. So I've got a slightly smaller drill bit here just to do some sort of pilot holes and get a feeling for how this plastic works. We'll drill those in, then I'll change the drill bit to a 3mm size one and we'll enlarge the holes a bit more. It shouldn't be too hard to do, so let's get all these holes drilled and see how it works. Okay, so that's all the holes drilled. I've drilled holes in these arm pieces, and the wings have the same holes in them as well. And my plan is now I'm going to take this piece of aerial and I'm going to glue it into the wings just using some super glue. That will give a nice strong bond. Once that's set, I'll then trim this post down, and that will be the new post that attaches the wing to the arm piece. And then I'll also have to do a little bit of sort of repair there just to the paintwork. So let's get these glued in. As you can see, I've got a little bit of super glue here just on a piece of paper. The reason I do this is there's a lot of control. Then I can just dip the piece in that needs to get the glue on it, and I get as much glue as I require, and then I can glue this in place, and you don't get glue going everywhere. So let's get that piece glued in. Then going to trim it down with some plastic nippers. We'll do the same on the other wing, bit of tidying up, and we're good to go. The paint touch-ups on this is going to be a fairly simple process. I just need to mix up a grey, so I've got some black and some white. These are Vallejo model colour paints. I've also got a tiny bit of yellow. This is some gold yellow, because this grey doesn't look like sort of a solid grey to me. It looks like it's aged a bit and has a tinge of yellow to it. So I'm just going to sort of mix up the grey, add a little bit of yellow just to tint it in, and then I'll paint all of these little marks that are on the bottom where the glue has sort of taken some of the paint away. Then once that's dry, I will put a clear coat on top, which is a satin varnish. This is 70.522, and that will then make the sort of finished sheen match this slightly shiny sheen that the paint has. And then they'll be ready to go back on the figure. I've now added the top coat and everything has had time to dry, so let's actually try this and see if it fits. So there's the holes on the back. We get the bit of Lego lined up, and that should just slot in, and it does fit really quite snugly. Those feel very firmly in place, and we should be able to rotate them, which was what Nick was asking for. So they now can be rotated and posed as they originally would. So let's put these wings and arms back on Baxter and see how he looks. Yeah, there we go. That's a pretty sturdy fix. I don't think you're going to have any problem with those. Certainly for display, these are not going to fall out. And I think even if you were playing with them, I don't think you would have too much trouble. They seem pretty firmly held on. So there we go. That's it for this project. As you can see, Lego is the sort of go-to when it comes to fixing most toys. You can make all sorts of bits for sort of repairs. Those Lego aerials are probably the most useful bit you'll ever need. So if you're buying bits of Lego, make sure you've got lots of Lego aerials, because you will use them all the time. They come in all sorts of different colours, and you can pretty much match what you're fixing to the colour of the Lego. So yeah, go and grab a load of those. I will be passing this back to Nick next time I see him, and if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, then please do. I'll put a link to that in the description. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching Toy Polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow Toy Polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.